Oh, hi, Internet. So it's been a while since we've seen each other, and I've been up to a lot of different things, most of those things involving writing. I'm constantly writing now for work, so my creative energy for like out of work stuff, like writing scripts for videos or talking to a camera for half an hour, just haven't been there. But the fact is that I miss you guys and I kind of miss doing online video because it's something that I really enjoy watching as a viewer and I think seems to really reach people in terms of online content creation. So I think I'm going to try again to do some consistent video posting and things of that nature. Also, sorry for the lack of my like real camera because I am using a webcam, which you can probably see in my glasses, which I pointed out to you, so if you didn't see it before, now you will. But it's because it's kind of a long story, but I don't get anti-glare like film placed over my glasses because I did once and it like warped and it was really weird, so I just don't trust it. Um, so that's the story behind that. But yeah, sorry, but the lighting is pretty good, right? Now I have a wall that's like bare that makes kind of a good makeshift studio, I guess. Well, anyway, to kind of go back into the world of online video and YouTube with a bang, I thought we could get to know each other. Specifically, you can get to know me. Today I went to the great store of Urban Outfitters, every hipster's wet dream, and I picked up the Book of Questions written by Gregory Stock, PhD. Interesting. Um, Looks like this. So basically it's a book with a bunch of questions in it. Very self-explanatory. So there's 291 questions in this book, and it's kind of meant as a tool that you can use to either get to know yourself. You could like fill out the questions, or you can ask some other people, use it as like sort of an icebreaker. You know, there's really kind of multiple ways that you could use this. So I'm going to be using it on me and answering 10 of the questions. So the first 10 questions in the book. And disclaimer, I have not looked through the questions, so I don't know what the questions are. I don't have premeditated answers here, just so you know. So let's get started. So the first question in the book of questions is: technology has become a part of us. Would you rather lose the use of all motorized vehicles, all telecommunication devices and computers, or one of your hands? Very appropriate question for this video. I would probably say all motorized vehicles. I assume that includes buses because those are motorized. Does it include subways and like trains? Does it include airplanes? I guess probably yes. But I feel like losing motorized vehicles, like we would go back to like walking and stuff, which would be healthy, and that's always good. And I don't know, we'd figure it out as a society. I feel like, unless it was just me losing these things, but I would figure it out. I'd rather lose that versus a hand or telecommunication. So, yeah. Question two: what would you do if your 6-year-old daughter's favorite toy, a talking doll, started trying to convince her that she needed a new friend? The next doll in the company's line. I've totally done things like this when I was a kid. So, I would probably explain how marketing works on a 6-year-old's level, but you know, you can explain basic principles around advertising, because I think media literacy is really important and we don't really teach kids about it. So I feel like that's what I would do. That's how I would handle it. And then after giving said lesson, ask if she still wanted the doll. Okay, question three. If you had to be obsessed with money, sex, sports, religion, or food, which one would you choose? Well, obsessions kind of suck. I definitely have been obsessed with more than one of these things. But if I had to be obsessed with one, and I assume it's like for the rest of my life, I would choose money for sure. Because I think if you're obsessed with money, it's not always a good thing, but I think it can motivate you to work harder, and to be entrepreneurial. And, you know, I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to have like a bad outcome of an obsession. A lot of these other ones could have bad outcomes. So I'm going to go with money. Question four: ignoring all financial considerations, Would you rather spend the next 5 years confined to an urban mecca like New York City or a beautiful isolated town on the California coast? I would definitely have to say urban mecca like New York City. Hello, especially ignoring financial considerations. Like, New York is hella expensive, but New York is hella awesome. So if it was like they would move me to New York, sure, let's do it. Question 5. Would you rather watch an Olympics that outlawed performance enhancing drugs or one that embraced them and let athletes use medical pit crews to jack up their performances? Wow, that's a good question, actually. Well, I think, despite the methods that they try to use to enforce the non-use of performance-enhancing drugs in stuff like the Olympics, it still happens. So I would say where they're outlawed, because I think that is actually more interesting to kind of see people's like real athletic talents versus their talents on steroids and stuff. Not that I don't know, I think it's a complicated issue, and like, I don't know if I think using them is like unfair or gives you an unfair advantage. I can see how it might, but there's other things, that we do that give us performance enhancement, sort of like caffeine. It like wakes you up and makes you enhance your performance at work, at least in theory. So, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's necessarily bad, but I would say probably without, because I feel like with it would be a hot mess of like, especially with that where it's like they're encouraging them to use as much as possible. Question 6. How would you react if you learned that a sad and beautiful poem that touched you deeply had been written by a computer? I don't know. I don't think I'd be fine with it. I don't think I'd have like deep feelings because I already kind of know that stuff is possible. Creativity can be like put into an algorithm, which is weird, but it's true. So, I'd be like, whatever, that's cool. And then there's like a little follow-up question to it that says, how would you feel if you knew that within a century, intelligent machines would be self-aware and much smarter and more creative than humans, and why? Like I said, I kind of already know this is gonna happen. And it sucks, I guess, in a sense, but just because, I don't know, you think you're so creative, but a computer can be 10 times more creative than you, so that's not that, like, it kind of like, oh, maybe I'm not that awesome after all. But I don't think it's like that big of a deal, so it's fine. Question 7. What is the most serious law you've broken doing something you thought was morally right, wouldn't hurt anyone, or was no one's business but yours? How bad would the punishment have been if you'd been caught and given the maximum sentence? Wow, this is like a really deep question. I haven't broken that many laws, I have to say. I'm kind of straight-laced. I don't like do a lot of things that are like edgy. So, I don't know, there's not many. God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually think it probably is, like, the sending of nude photos as a minor, which is actually a felony. I've done that, so that would probably be, that'd probably be the one. And it goes into the category of wouldn't hurt anyone, it was no one's business but mine. I do think a lot of the laws around like child pornography, because that's what that's considered. If you take a nude photo and you're under 18, it's child pornography. I do think that's kind of ridiculous, and the laws on that do need some reform. And if I had been punished and given a maximum sentence, it's a felony. So, I don't know. It's a long, I think it's something like 20 years in prison. I know it's like not a light sentence if you're actually prosecuted, but tons of people do it who don't get caught. So yeah, and then there's a little follow-up question. If you were on a jury, would you be willing to convict a person for something you didn't think should be considered a crime? Probably I would. Just because, I don't know, I feel like if you know the laws, even if you disagree with them, you understand the potential consequences of breaking them, and you should have thought of that before you broke it, if you're not willing to live with the consequences. So I probably would. Question 8. If you could anonymously and safely destroy any one person's reputation online through various postings, would you? If so, who and why? I don't think I would. I'm not a very like spiteful, vengeful person. I don't like the idea of like destroying somebody's reputation just because I can or like for fun. Um, so no, I would not. Question 9. On a typical Sunday, 10,000 people visit the Louvre in Paris. Oh, really? If a wicked sorcerer threatened to vaporize all the museum's visitors or all of its art, sparing one or the other based on your plea, which would you save? Assume the sorcerer will obliterate both the people and the art if you don't choose. Interesting question. So I'd probably choose the art, right? I mean, I feel like, I guess it would kind of suck because a lot of really historical, amazing art pieces and artifacts would be gone, but I feel like 10,000 people is like a lot worse than some art. So, and then there's a little follow up question. What, if any, fruits of our culture are worth more than even a million lives? For example, what if all the music or fiction of the past century was at risk? God, I don't know. I don't know if there are any. There probably isn't. Um, I would probably say there's not because like if you are choosing like all books or something over all people, I mean that's kind of selfish. So, and I get it. Like I have selfish tendencies, believe me, but I don't know. I just feel like something like that is kind of shitty. So I would have to say no. And the final question, question 10, if your heart were damaged beyond repair, but you could regain your health for a few more years by getting a heart transplant from a genetically engineered pig, would you? Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem with that. Um, yeah, I would assume the pig is like healthy and it wouldn't like do anything weird to my body. So, yeah, I don't see why not. It's cool with me. And it might be pretty cool actually. I feel like they've done this too before. So, yeah, so those are the first 10 questions in this book. So if you're like, "Oh my god, these questions are amazing." Um you can get this book too. I actually like the questions. I have to say, I guess I didn't really look through it. Um and they're not, I like that they're kind of deep, but like they're not like kind of typical questions you see in books like this, because I've actually gotten books like this in the past and like journals where it asks you a bunch of questions about yourself and you like fill it out. um and usually the questions are a little more generic and a little shorter, and these take a little bit more thought and are kind of interesting and unexpected. So I really like this. Hopefully see you guys soon. Kisses.